Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. You got Cory and Nick with you here as always, and we have a third member of the show today coming at us from what I lovingly like to call the B show of the Real Heroes Network. Shane hates movies. Shane is here. Nick, how are you tonight, buddy?
Doing well. Yeah.
Shane, how about yourself? You're an hour behind us in Texas. It's still light coming through your windows.
Yep, no sunset here yet, but coming soon.
Very cool, very cool. So in tonight's video, we are talking about the season 2 premiere of Ted Lasso, which is now streaming on Apple TV Plus. So there will be spoilers for the entirety of season 1 and this first episode of season 2. So if you have not caught up on those, head back over to Apple TV, catch up on the show, then come back and see us. We're going to dive through this episode, what we liked, if there's anything we didn't like, which there's going to be stuff this guy didn't like. It's not my favorite show on television. Yay. And then we're going to share some Easter eggs and some trivia from the episode, followed by scoring it out of 10. So Shane, being the guest tonight, I will be a gentleman and let you go first. Give me either 2 things you liked, 1 thing you liked and 1 thing you didn't like, or 2 dislikes. But whatever it is, make it 2.
I'll go with a mixture. So the thing that I like the most, and I think this is the thing that probably everyone liked the most, is Roy Kent.
Hey.
He's here, he's there, he's every fucking where, Roy Kent. He stole the show in this first episode, clearly. I mean, I was a little bit surprised at how much he was in the show. Like, I was going into season 2, because he retired in season 1, I expected him to be, on the back burner, but instead I think the writers realized how popular of a character he was from season 1. And so rather than letting him kind of ride off into the sunset, they actually focused more on him, which I really enjoyed. I loved his relationship with Keely in the first season, and I'm excited to see where that goes. I think his line where he told Rebecca, like, you deserve to be with someone who makes it feel like you've been struck by lightning, is just like, that's the line of the episode. So love that. The things I didn't like, I don't want to say I disliked them, but it was very clearly a setup episode. This is very clearly like, we're going to go through and set up all the narrative threads as typical premieres do. But because of that, it didn't really have a main focus. It felt like it was a little bit scattered. I think as we go on, it'll make more sense. And some of the threads that they set up will be focused more on. Some of them will be kind of tossed away. But I mean, there's some clear narrative threads that are going to be going through this season that they set up.
True. Good stuff. Nick, how about you, bud?
Yeah, I agree with Shane, how Roy Kent was just the epitome of this episode.
You kind of have a Roy look going on right now with the haircut.
It's got the beard, yeah.
I'm a bit of Roy Kent. Yeah. I mean, oi, you fucking twats. Like, I mean, him asking the waiter or the server for more drinks.
Yep.
I'm gonna need another double, right? Like, that whole date night was great. But just to see more of how he's dealing with being retired, I think we're going to get a very interesting evolution from Roy Kent. Does he come back? Does he not? Is he just going to stick with retirement and see where he goes with that? I think a lot of the jokes that we got to see and hear from the coaches, particularly in their coach room, and they're talking about the yips and the superstitious.
I can't say that.
How dare you?
I had to say it just for the one time. I had to say it the one time for this part. But and they're talking about luck, being lucky, unlucky, and then Ted Lasso says, we got a name for that back home, don't we, Coach Beard? He goes, what do we call them? The New York Jets.
Yeah.
Yes. As a Miami Dolphins fan, I do not like the New York Jets. So I found immense humor in that. And, as far as what I maybe didn't like, there wasn't a lot. It's just not long enough, maybe. Like, it's tough to have these shorter episodes. I could watch it. If these episodes were an hour, I'd be all for it. But I know they're not. I don't know, maybe because it's like, the beginning threads of everything, kind of like maybe what Shane mentioned, I think would point in the direction of something that's not as positive as the rest. And I hope that there's not too much that takes away from having a therapist, a sports therapist, come on, because it's kind of like that jealousy and envy might come into play, and I wonder how that might stir up the chemistry with the coaches and the Ted and the rest of the staff, right, from the league and or rather the franchise and the players. So it'll be interesting. I mean, last thing I'll say is when Danny has the penalty kick, and you could just see it happening. Like it was just the setup was just too noticeable, I guess, right?
You could see the budget being used with that like 240 frames per second camera,
and you know, like that would have never happened in real life. Like as much as like Euro players are super serious about anything being on the field, like I doubt they would have really let a dog get that close, or let alone like some sort of bird appear on the field. Just because in the event that actually happened in real life, people would lose their minds. So when it happened, you don't show it. I was like, come on, you just gotta show it at this point, like, But you can just use your imagination, and then RIP to the dog, the greyhound, Earl.
Earl Greyhound,
Earl
right?
the Greyhound,
That's my first Easter egg. It's a tea reference. Earl Grey tea.
Christ.
Earl Greyhound.
Doesn't Ted Lasso hate tea? Isn't that
He
like one of the
does.
gags
He
from
does.
last season? Oh,
He does, yeah. But yeah, it's just it was pretty damn hilarious too, just to see that he goes, football is death.
he was practically waterboarding himself
Yeah.
in his uniform. I mean,
Still in his uniform, straight from the field.
Unreal. All right, so
What about you, Cory?
as you guys may or may not be able to tell, I don't dislike this show per se, but
Right.
the character of Ted Lasso is just too overwhelmingly positive for me, and I'm really hoping that the sports psychiatrist getting in there and kind of stirring shit up a little bit kind of pokes at him and gets him to break a little bit, and we get to see a little different side of him. They killed a dog. That's like my dislike.
In like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I texted Shane as I was watching it, and I was like, oh man, really good start to a season. They kick a dog with a soccer ball, and then a couple of seconds later you find out that the dog fucking died, and I was like, all right, so they took it one step further and they killed the dog. The dog's their damn mascot, but whatever.
They needed the traumatic event to bring in the sports psychiatrist, so that's where they went.
I suppose, but
Killing the tea dog.
I want to echo both of your sentiments on Roy. I thought that he was very good, and the actor who plays him is very versatile, because he can do the angry man and you believe it, and then he's watching the like Love Island ripoff that they do, and you believe that he would sit down with a bunch of old ladies and watch that too and drink rosé.
Yoga moms.
And did you catch at the end of that where he's like, more rosé please, fill him in?
Yeah, he sees
it's the recurring gag.
Oh, okay, yeah, but it's
so he had the gag at the date, and then the same gag, fill up my drinks more.
Slightly different drink than what he was having.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, he was great. And that character makes me laugh pretty much whenever he opens his mouth, which is cool. They put an Empire Strikes Back reference in there, which I thought was wonderful. And is it Higgins? Is that his name?
Yep, Higgins.
Right? He's like, I'm gonna have to explain to my kids the whole Luke and Leia thing. That made me chuckle a little bit, which was good. I feel like the episode was a little bit overstuffed. They obviously have a lot of threads that they are setting up, but I thought that they actually did a pretty good job, not sidelining Ted, but pulling back on Ted a little bit to give all of the members of this cast, because the cast is great. Everyone, whether it's Beard or Nate or Roy or Jamie or whatever. Shane, if you do that again, you're fired. Never come back to the show. So I thought that was cool, and I think obviously the budget is much bigger than it was last year. The stadium shots looked far more epic than they did in the first season.
They did.
So I thought they're off to a good start. I'm curious to see where it goes, and that look between Ted and the psychiatrist at the end was very dirty on both ends. So I'm curious to see what direction that goes in. So Shane, you've sprinkled some trivia throughout already, but I'm sure there's more, so please.
Oh, there's plenty. So
let me kick my feet up. Hold on.
All right, I'll get a couple. So first one I have is when they ask how much money is in the swear jar from Roy's niece.
Yeah.
The number is 1,236.
Right.
And when the psychiatrist asked how many times they've kicked the ball back and forth, the number is also 1,236. So recurring number there.
Is there any meaning behind that?
I don't know. I doubt it. It feels like it's just like a throwaway. Maybe that number means something to the writers, and so it's like an inside
it's
joke.
like 1138.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the THX
right?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So another one is, and this is probably my favorite, is that the episode or the movie Magnolia is referenced throughout the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that they reference is, well, I guess there's a couple of things. Well, first off, he references it when talking to Danny. That
Right.
he references Magnolia and Tom Cruise's little ponytail.
Right.
But in the movie Magnolia, there's a character named Earl who dies, and the dog is named Earl and dies. And when Rebecca is on her date and the song starts playing, that song is called Wise Up by Amy Mann, and that is in the movie Magnolia. So Magnolia, recurring thread throughout this episode.
Huh.
It's good. I love it when, I mean, they probably blatantly referenced it when Ted talks about it. My dog is in the background, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But I love
I
it
think that's
when
the
you
first
get
dog
sort
we've
of
ever had on the show.
I think
is
so.
Is he gonna pee
the
on the
views
globe
are gonna just explode now.
The way that
because
the other dog
is in
peed
there.
on the grave of the
Yes.
other dog.
Yes.
Little Easter egg of our own there.
Let's see if there's any other references. I mentioned Earl Greyhound. Another thing, Jason Sudeikis, when they were interviewing him about this, he mentioned that this season is sort of like the Empire Strikes Back of Ted Lasso. So when they referenced Empire Strikes Back, I was surprised. I mean, maybe that's a sort of nod to maybe it's a darker season. And then the only other thing I have is that in the first season, they mentioned that they wanted to start the season on the character with the biggest arc. So the first character you see in season 1 is Rebecca, and her arc is the biggest throughout the season. The first person you see in this episode is Nate. So I wonder if that's going to be a big arc throughout the season, especially because he seems a little mean.
Yeah, I love
Like
it.
he's hazing the new guy. I'm like,
Great. Nate the Great returns.
Like you were right there.
Every character on this show is better than Ted. I'm saying it.
So I wonder if that, like the little look they give him, it's like, Nate, you don't act like this normally. I wonder if there's some precursors to stuff going on later.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I think that's most of what I had here.
All right, so I have one question, and I don't know if either of the two of you can answer this. Jamie is the guy that used to play
Jamie
for
Tartt.
Richmond and then went to Man City, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why is he on the reality show?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, because that totally threw me for a loop. Because usually
Yeah.
reality shows like that, it's where like washed up people go to die. He's
Right.
a star footballer for Man City. You'd figure he
Right.
wouldn't be doing something like that. I thought I missed something.
My prediction is going to be something like he messed up and got kicked off the team, and he's doing that, and then they might bring him in on AFC Richmond to be like a ringer.
Oh, okay.
That's my
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I wondered if like things just didn't work out, or he probably went off on an arrogant tangent, right? Like his ego inflated and was like, I don't need this team, and then just leaves and joins some stupid show like that. But I'm curious to see how much we're gonna get of him in this season, because it was kind of funny. And I think because Roy doesn't really like Jamie Tartt, right? So when he sees him on the show, he's like, he does that
Yeah.
more rosé.
The way I could kind of see this working is maybe like Roy comes back to help in a coaching capacity, and he realizes that Jamie is not playing, and like that's his like arc, is learning to like forgive Jamie, and maybe he brings him back. Maybe it's his idea that he brings him back on the team, or something like that. It's interesting to see like the storylines they set up. You mentioned like the psychiatrist. Like that's a clear antagonist. Like Rebecca was the antagonist of season 1, and now they need this antagonist. I guess Rupert, is that her husband's name?
I believe so. Yeah,
Richard, Rupert, something like that.
Something like that.
From season 1.
Old British man.
Some twat who can
he was an antagonist of the first one as well. But like I think the most compelling thing is like that's Ted Lasso's only job.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know anything about soccer. His
Right.
job is sports psychiatrist. So when you
Yep.
bring in a sports psychiatrist who says, I am twice as good at my job than you are at yours, that's like a direct threat. Like, he thinks
for
that's
sure.
his whole job. So that's a pretty compelling thread. Let's see. The Rebecca romance thing, I think, is for sure foreshadowing. I personally hope that her and Ted don't get together. I hope that remains a professional thing. I really hope they don't go there. And then, of course, Roy, and then maybe Nate is another one.
So, you guys think Roy's gonna play again?
No, I don't think he will.
Really? Okay.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he has it in him to kind of deal with it, unless he was just like like I hate to say a bench warmer, because he's not, like, just because of his reputation, but he's still on the team. Maybe he's just not a starter, right? So maybe he's like someone you throw in at the 80th minute mark, as a relief guy.
Right.
Because I mean, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of twist that happens. Like, Nate goes on this mean, like, parade and ends up, like, maybe he gets fired from the team, and halfway through they're like, we need someone, and then they bring in Roy Kent, right? He's familiar with the team, staff, players, right?
He's got coaching experience.
Yeah,
Little girl soccer.
I wonder if they're going to win that championship, that 9-year-old women's cup.
It's so great because that joke was so obvious when he was yelling. It's like, it's clearly kids, and it's still funny just because it's Roy.
Yeah, call them fucking pricks, Roy.
Even when they're acting like a bunch of pricks.
Well, as long as the kids don't eat the orange peels, I think they have a chance this year.
Yeah, I heard orange slices, and I was like, I want some right now.
All I can think of was Ant-Man at the end of the big airport fight in Civil War, after he goes big and he's like, does anybody have any orange slices? Good stuff. Shane hates Marvel, so take that, deal with it, Shane. It's my goddamn show. All right.
I've got a question.
Okay, all right.
What was your favorite joke of the episode?
Nick, I'll let you go first on that one.
All right, I said mine was the New York Jets.
Okay. Yeah, as a Dolphins fan, that makes sense. I think mine was the Empire Strikes Back one.
Mine had to be, I haven't seen a look like that since I wore a red baseball cap at a Planned Parenthood fundraiser. That is just really perfection.
Yeah.
So good.
The delivery was very good on that one.
Yeah.
For all of my shitting on Ted Lasso, the character, it just rolled right off the tongue the way that he said it, which was
I also missed one Easter egg before we continue. And that is when they're sitting at the bar and he says, can I be real a second? Forget my meal a second. Beard says something like, put down your drink and something, talk with your friend a second. That's a direct Hamilton reference.
Oh, is it really?
From the play.
The musical? Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What a bunch of nerds that write this show.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's cool though. All the attention to detail and keeping things,
pop culture stuff in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to be able to dive through something other than a comic book show for references and Easter eggs for a change. So
Yeah,
pretty cool
there's
stuff.
Plenty. It's if there's one thing about Hollywood, the thing that they love the most is Hollywood.
Yep.
So you're always gonna get self-referential stuff.
Or if you're Quentin Tarantino, feet. So anyway, let's wrap this one up. It's the moment of truth. Shane, out of 10, what do you score in this episode?
I'm gonna give this a solid 7. It's pretty much what I gave like every Game of Thrones premiere ever, because every premiere was structured the exact same way. You have a set of characters, you set up the threads for the entire season, nothing monumental happens, and that's kind of it.
Fair enough. Nick, how about you, buddy?
Yeah, I was leaning more towards like a 7.5. Like, again, hard to really kind of judge what the premiere episode's going to be like, but I think it set the stage in a number of ways. It hit on the marks. This is supposed to be like a feel-good drama show and have comedy to it, so I feel like it hit on those points. Obviously, things could have been a little bit better, but once we see things get fleshed out more with all the character arcs and like the more themes we see, I do anticipate the season stepping up from episode to episode. So I don't want to be like it's an 8.59 and be like, well, shit, because every
Maybe it
episode
wasn't.
did get better, and
Right,
now
yeah.
we're at a 10, and
Right.
it's the 5th episode. So
Yeah, and like it's one of those things where this first episode could be much better in hindsight. Once
Sure.
we see how everything develops, we go back to it and we watch it, and it makes a
again,
whole lot
yeah.
more sense. Everything, we can see it developing more. So
For sure.
it's a grower.
yeah,
Grower,
so
not a shower. There it is.
So I'll stick with the 7.5 for now.
All right, fair enough. I'll split the difference and I'll give it a
What you got?
7.25 just
There
to
you go.
Oh, okay.
put us all in line.
Okay.
So I would love to see this show take on like a Mythic Questy type vibe where it does certain
Yeah.
episodes about different characters where everybody gets the chance to shine. I heard something online that this season's 12 episodes instead of 10
Oh.
like they did last year.
Huh,
So
didn't know that.
if that's the case, it gives them some more room to breathe and flesh out some of the many
Yeah.
arcs that they set up. So
Yeah.
we will definitely see where it goes, and obviously we're going to cover every episode,
All of them.
Yes, we
all
will.
of them. We'll be here
Palpatine.
for all of them. So yeah, so that's going to do it for us for this Ted Lasso review. Guys, we'd love to hear from you. Please let us know in the comment section below what you thought of this episode. Is it a 7, a 7.25, or a 7.5 according to your scale? Did it set up too many things? Did it just feel like a nice warm hug from Jason Sudeikis himself? Drop us that comment below and let us know. And if you'd like to support the show, you could do so as always for free. All you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on those notifications, and share with your friends. We'll be back later this week talking about Quiet Place Part 2 now that the Blu-ray is coming out this week, with Bad Batch review on Friday, and then some other stuff in between. So until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.